In round 9 of the consolidated funding application, $150 million of capital grant funding from the Regional Council Capital Fund is available for the state's Regional Economic Development Council initiative. These funds will help drive regional and local economic development across New York State in cooperation with the 10 Regional Economic Development Councils. Special consideration will be given to projects supporting the Downtown Revitalization Initiative and strategic community investment, improving access to childcare, and environmental justice. Eligible applicants include for-profit businesses, not-for-profit corporations, business improvement districts, local development corporations, public benefit corporations, including industrial development agencies, economic development organizations, research and academic institutions, incubators, technology parks, municipalities, counties, regional planning councils, tourist attractions, and community facilities. Individuals are not eligible to apply. Assistance generally falls into 3 categories. The first category is strategic community development investment. Strategic community development investments are capital expenditures for projects including transportation, parking garages, water and sewer, communication, and energy generation and distribution. Projects should demonstrate their ability to attract new businesses and expand existing businesses, therefore fostering further investment. Strategic community development investment projects may also include planning or feasibility studies relating to a specific capital project or site. Strategic community development investment projects that can provide job commitments will be viewed favorably. The second category is business investment. Business investments are capital expenditures that facilitate an employer's ability to create new jobs in New York State or to retain jobs that are otherwise in jeopardy. 5-year job commitments will be required of all award recipients. Applicants will need to commit to the number of jobs at risk of relocation or loss, as well as any jobs retained by the proposed project. If employment commitments are not met, an award recipient will be subject to potential recapture of funding assistance. The third category is economic growth investment. An economic growth investment initiative fosters economic growth through cultural activity, higher education activity, other local and regional initiatives, agribusiness initiatives, improvements to facilities in highly distressed areas, commercial revitalization activities in central business districts or commercial strips, or other projects that may not have direct job creation goals. Economic growth investment projects that are able to provide direct job commitments will be viewed favorably. Funds may be used for acquisition of land, building, machinery and/or equipment, demolition and environmental remediation, new construction, renovation, or leasehold improvements, acquisition of furniture and fixtures, soft costs of up to 25% of total project costs, and planning and feasibility studies related to a specific capital project or site. Awards may not be used to reimburse developers' fees, training, or residential development, although a residential component may be included in project budgets for mixed-use development. In addition, block grant programs and revolving loan funds are ineligible activities. Applicants applying for ESD grant funds should clearly describe the scope and budget for the project for which funds are being requested. For example, an applicant may be planning a larger project that would include multiple phases, such as in the case of a major infrastructure project or development of a specific geographic area. However, the project for which funds are being requested via the CFA might consist of only one phase of the larger project. The request for ESD grant funds should be specific to the phase, not the overall multi-phase project. Awards are offered as an incentive to undertake a project. Therefore, a project should not begin and expenses should not be incurred before funding awards have been announced. Generally, applicants should not apply for, nor will be considered for, more than 20% of the financing for any particular project based on the eligible total project cost. Typically, awards will be less than 20% of the eligible total project cost, and the likelihood of winning an award improves as the percentage of ESD assistance is reduced and private investment or other sources are better leveraged. Exceptions to this limit may be made at the sole discretion of ESD in cases where it is found that a project or projects will have an unusual or extraordinary regional or statewide impact. ESD requires that the applicant contribute a minimum of 10% of the total project cost in the form of equity contributed after the applicant's acceptance of ESD's incentive proposal. Equity is defined as cash injected into the project by the applicant or by investors and should be auditable through the applicant's financial statements or accounts, if so requested by ESD. Equity cannot be borrowed money secured by the assets in the project or grants from a government source. The applicant must always disclose whether it is pursuing or intends to pursue multiple ESD funding sources, including grants, loans, or tax incentives. Notice of a funding award will be given in the form of an award letter, followed by an incentive proposal outlining the terms of the proposed assistance. The award is subject to approval of the ESD directors and compliance with applicable laws and regulations. All applicants will be requested to certify and agree that any decrease in the scope of work described in the applicant's final CFA submission, including but not limited to total project costs, jobs retained, and jobs created, may result in ESD's reduction of the award at ESD's sole discretion in an amount proportionate to any such decrease. All applicants will be requested to certify and agree that any expansion of the scope of work described in the applicant's final CFA submission, including but not limited to total project costs, jobs retained, and jobs created, will not result in the increase of the award by ESD. Please note that awarded grants are transferable at ESD's sole discretion. The essential terms of the disbursement of assistance will be included in the incentive proposal. Although funding is offered prior to project commencement as an inducement to undertake the project, funds are dispersed in arrears as reimbursement for eligible project expenditures. It is expected the project will proceed in the time frame set forth by the applicant. If the implementation of a project fails to proceed as planned and is delayed for a significant period of time, and there is, in the exclusive judgment of ESD, doubt as to its viability, ESD reserves the right to cancel its funding commitment to such project. If awarded, the incentive proposal expires 2 years from the date of acceptance by the recipient. ESD reserves the right to require the recipient to provide any additional information and/or documentation ESD deems necessary, and may terminate the project at any point if the applicant fails to provide such documentation in a timely manner. A $250 application fee payable when funding is documented in an incentive proposal, and a 1% non-reimbursable commitment fee based on the grant amount awarded will be assessed to all awardees. The commitment fee will be due following approval of the project by the ESD directors and after the applicant executes documents required for processing the award. Although funding is offered prior to project commencement as an inducement to undertake the project, funds are dispersed in arrears as reimbursement for expenses undertaken. In accordance with the requirements of Article 15A of the New York State Executive Law, participation by minority group members and women with respect to state contracts by providing opportunities for MBE/WBE participation, projects awarded funding shall be reviewed by ESD's Office of Contractor and Supplier Diversity, which will set business and participation goals for minorities and women. Such goals shall typically be included in the incentive proposal. Please note that ESD's agency-wide MWBE utilization goal is 30%. Each project will be assigned an individual contract-specific goal, which may be higher or lower than 30%. Should an applicant receive a funding award, the applicant shall be required to use good faith efforts to achieve the prescribed MWBE goals assigned to its project. Applicants must maintain such records and take such actions necessary to demonstrate such compliance. In 2014, the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Business Act was signed into law. The law created the Division of Service Disabled Veterans Business Development and Office of General Services to certify, promote, and encourage economic development among disabled veterans throughout the state. Project applicants are urged to work with service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, and a directory can be found at the website listed. In accordance with state law, after approval by ESD's directors, a public hearing will be required if the project involves the acquisition, construction, reconstruction, rehabilitation, alteration, or improvement of any property. The applicant will be obligated to pay out-of-pocket expenses incurred by ESD in connection with the project, including but not limited to expenses related to attorney fees, appraisals, surveys, title insurance, credit searches, filing fees, public hearing expenses, and other requirements deemed appropriate by ESD. Grant funds will be subject to pro rata recapture if a property is sold within 5 years of disbursement of funds. Projects generally are presented to the ESD directors once all project expenditures have been undertaken and disbursement of ESD assistance is sought. All public approvals must be in place prior to the start of construction, and approval by the ESD directors, including state environmental quality review and consultation with the State Historic Preservation Office, if applicable. Projects having a hotel as a principal function will be required to demonstrate compliance with Section 2879B of the Public Authorities Law regarding labor peace if funding is awarded. For projects with job creation and or retention, job numbers will be verified using the employer's NY45 and NY45 ATT and or payroll reports prior to disbursement of funds and annually thereafter through the required reporting period. For more information, you may contact the local Empire State Development Regional Office. A complete list of the ESD regional offices can be found at the listed website. Thank you.